Hey everybody, it's been about a minute since I've done one of these podcasts and I apologize for my absenteeism, but we've just had a lot going on down here in the Panhandle and please rest assured the absence was by no means health related or anything. We've just been really busy. It's been festival season down here. I got to do my most recent Jazz Fest this year, which is probably the perfect Jazz Fest or most perfect Jazz Fest I've ever been to. I know that doesn't make sense grammatically. I got to take one of my sons to there as their first Jazz Fest, and it was just great. And then in addition to that, it's soccer season. It's getting closer to the summer, so my business is ramping up, and I really just haven't had the time. But thankfully for you and for me, the internet is down in the house today, so I have nothing left to do except to do another one of these videos. So before we get started, please remember that I am not a doctor. All I can do is provide you a different perspective on things that are happening to me and kind of relate what the doctors have told me, but please do not take this as medical advice. Secondly, we're going to be talking about prostate cancer. So if that makes you queasy or uneasy, just know what you're getting into. So, okay. First, most important things, the latest PSA test. Latest PSA test, and as a comparison, my last PSA, which was done in January, was a 0.04. So basically undetectable. For this next PSA test, I did something a little different. So for the previous PSA tests, they were always taken right after I had gotten my Eligard and my Eligard injection or whatever. Before that, it was Degarelix that I was getting every month. Now it's Eligard that I get every 3 months. So usually, again, the PSA test was taken right after that injection. And I wanted to see if the PSA would be a little different if I actually got the test right before my next injection. So I got the PSA test taken the day of that next Eligard injection. So I provided the maximum period of time, which is a little over 3 months in this case, to see, hey, is the PSA really low or is it just artificial because I just keep getting the test right after chemo or Eligard or whatever. So the latest PSA as of April 10th, so a month ago, is 0.03. So that really made me happy. And so we'll just wait till the next one and see what happens. So treatment, what's going on with treatment? So I finished chemo, as I spoke about in the last video, in January. January 11th was my last test, or my last injection, or treatment, or whatever you want to call it. Since then, I saw the radiological oncologist, which I think I spoke about. And the radiological oncologist, I had a PSMA PET before then, and the PSMA PET showed that treatment is working. I still have METs in my system. I still have bone METs, but and I'm still not even quite sure how to take some of this stuff because different doctors say different things about it. From a Dr. Google perspective, if you look at uptake values or SUVs, standardized uptake values, I'm doing a whole heck of a lot better, but there's still areas of concern. Why I say that is because your baseline for an SUV uptake, again, according to I think the Mayo Clinic was what I was looking at, or the American Cancer Society, is 2.5. So an SUV uptake of anything above a 2.5 in a PSMA PET is suspicious or for cancer, or is pretty much cancer. The first PSMA PET I had recently after diagnosis, I had uptake values in the high 20s, so 27, 25, 24. This most recent PSMA PET, my uptake values, I think the highest was 7, with most of them being around 3 or 4. So that's good, but it's still concerning because it's above that baseline of 2.5. So because of that PSMA PET, I didn't think that I was going to be a candidate for localized radiation, which is what the radiological oncologists have been talking about, just radiating, if I had a couple of METs and the primary, which in this case is the prostate, obviously. Had seen the radiological oncologist and he disagreed. He thought that I would be a candidate. And then I was also thinking about Pluvicto, or the lutetium-177, which is the injectable radioisotope, which is the beta emitter, which attaches itself to specifically the PSMA, the prostate cancer cells, and kills them at the source. Has had a lot of really positive results since its approval a year or two ago by the FDA. So I didn't think that I was a candidate really for lutetium, but I did want to investigate it. I didn't think I was a candidate for that because, again, it attaches itself to the PSMA cells, and my PSMA PET, was basically telling me that I didn't have a lot of PSMA to attach to, and most of the doctors agree with that. And also, I am leaning away from that lutetium, jumping ahead here a little bit, because it's almost like a one-shot one. So if I use that arrow out of my quiver, I'm not going to get that arrow back. So I think I want to hold off when using the lutetium until I'm a little further down the road, if I even get there. All right, so that leaves me with the rest of the doctor visits. So the radiologist that I'd seen, he wanted me to visit the lutetium, or the radiological oncologist that was going to be administering the Pluvicto, just to speak to him before we went ahead with the localized radiation. So I said, all right, that's fine. So I'd seen him, and that's basically what I got from him, and I think I talked about that in another video again. And then the next person I saw was my new medical oncologist, and that was a very good meeting. I told him my plans, and he agreed with them. And then I said, okay, what would you recommend? You're my medical oncologist. And he said, okay, the radiation, it's a no harm, no foul situation. However, it's still getting, your body radiated, and you're still relatively young. So, there are possible things that might, be of concern 30 years down the road. Of course, if I live that long. He is more conservative. He would take almost the wait and see approach. The medication, the current treatment you're on is working, and he even said it's working so well that he would likely say, okay, get the injections in April, which I've already done, and then in July or June, the next injection, put a question mark on that. He would want to start me, or think about starting me, on a holiday. So, theoretically, potentially, maybe, the last injection I had might be the start of the intermittent therapy, and that might be the last injection in order to let my testosterone come back and see what the PSA does, and see how long it could stay dormant or in remission, which is exciting. I'm not taking anything for granted or getting my hopes up. I know I've had a couple of friends out there who recently were thinking kind of the same thing, only to have those hopes kind of crushed by their oncologists at their most recent visits. So, brothers, I'm thinking about you, man. So, just keep your head up. So anyway, that's what the medical oncologist said. So again, a very good meeting with him. He was very happy and encouraged by the latest PSMA PET that I got. Okay, so then the next appointment that I had was with the oncologist in Pensacola, who's supposed to be the one administering the Pluvicto, just to kind of talk with him, because that's what the Panama City oncologist wanted me to do before starting the radiation. So I did that. Well, unfortunately, some wires got crossed, and I ended up seeing just another radiological oncologist in Pensacola, not the one who does the Pluvicto, just one of the ones that are in the same building as the Pluvicto. However, it wasn't a wasted appointment. I think it was very good. He did agree with me about the lutetium, and he agreed that it is a no harm, no foul with the radiation treatment. However, he recommended against it. What he recommended, and he used an analogy that I found helpful, and I know that I'm going to mess up repeating this analogy, so please bear with me. But he said, basically, look, your scans show that the treatment's working, and you've basically got no cancer in your body at the moment. And then he said, think of your cancer as a pie that represents 100% of your cancer. 95%, and that's a pie of the original cancer. that 95% of that cancer that you had is going to be killed off or has already been killed off by the treatment that you're on, and is going to be flushed out of the system, or taken away by your immune system, and then flushed out through the lymphatic system and whatnot. 5% is still there, and it is sensitive to the treatment, and it will remain sensitive to the treatment, and it will stay dormant for a finite period of time. Then he said, however, there's 1% or less than 1%, really probably less than 1% at this point, of the cancer that is already resistant to the treatment that you're on. And that cancer is multiplying. Now, prostate cancer is a very slow growing type of cancer, or most versions of it are. He said this less than 1% just isn't the dominant cancer you have at the moment. He said what he would recommend doing is just not doing anything, either staying on treatment or getting off treatment, doing the intermittent treatment, intermittent hormone therapy. He said wait, and then wait to see when your PSA starts going up. He said because once the PSA starts going up, you then do another scan and you see where it's going up, and that's where you want to radiate. That is where the bad cancer is. And he said that's how he would do it. The benefit of that is you're not getting radiated, you're not exposing your body to more radiation than necessary. Which the way that he described it, which I did a very poor job of trying to explain it or repeat it, the way he explained it made a lot of sense to me. That said, I am still considering radiating the primary and the two lymph nodes. It's likely more than that, or wherever I'm getting radiated. I'm still considering having that done. I just haven't made up my mind yet, and I need to do that. I know, but I just haven't done it. I don't know why. Probably a lot of personal hesitation on my part, just because it's a big decision. Some of it has to do with things that we've got coming up. Shelly keeps saying, "Hey, look, we've got this trip coming up, so you can't do it here," and because the radiation is going to be something like it's going to be over 20 treatments, every day that you're getting yourself radiated. And I say that I'm going off of what other friends have done. The doc here hasn't specifically told me, how many I'd have. As a comparison to that, the doc in Pensacola said if he were doing it and he did the wait and see approach, and he's, we saw where the PSA was coming up in which area, whether it be the prostate or the lymph nodes started, if that's where the bad cancer was. He said he'd only radiate that section, and he'd only do it 5 times to limit the amount of damage or potential harmful side effects down the road that might arise. So that was the meeting with that oncologist. Then I didn't have another doctor appointment, but I attended a video call, Zoom, whatever you want to call it. It was there's a word that slipped me right now, but it was held by ANCAN, ANCAN.org, which I do recommend to anybody out there who's got basically any type of prostate cancer. ANCAN.org, ANCAN.org, and I'll put it in the notes, is a group that has these, what is the word? It's these sessions that everybody gets together and talk, and I'm sure a lot of you out there are like, hey, it's this word, why aren't you saying it? But support groups, I think that's the word. So they have these support groups, these virtual support groups for all kinds of people, veterans with prostate cancer, men under 60 with prostate cancer, recurrent advanced prostate cancer, low risk prostate cancer. So they've got a lot of different support groups that you can attend. So I attended one, and I got this from the Reluctant Brotherhood podcast, or not I guess it is a podcast that I had attended, because they said, hey, you're kind of way more advanced in your disease than most of the guys there. So they had recommended ANCAN, who actually do have doctors that are on these support group calls. So I did that, and it's actually online on YouTube somewhere, because they post all of their videos just so, like, hopefully this video can be helpful to other people in the same situation. But during that video, one of the questions they asked of me was, hey, are you, who's your Genito Urinary doc? Because their view is, and I agree with it, from listening to me, they're like, who's managing your care? And right now, I kind of feel like I'm managing my care. And maybe that's because I'm not letting anyone else manage it. I don't know. But, I have a medical oncologist. I have a radiological oncologist. I have a urologist. I mean, I think if anything, the urologist is the one managing the care, and I don't really think the urologist should be managing the care. And so what they advocated for was a Genito Urinary doctor who can be the quarterback for all of this. And they had a couple that they recommended near me that came highly recommended. As an aside, the doctor that I was seeing at Memorial Sloan Kettering, she is a genitourinary oncologist, but when I saw her, she was like, hey, you're getting treated in Panama City, why do you need to see me? I mean, if I had seen this or had participated in this support group, I could have told her why I wanted to see her, but I didn't. So, and she also doesn't see virtual. She will only see you in person in order to treat you. Most, or I don't even know if it's most, a lot of other oncologists will see you virtually, and they will coordinate with a local doctor to get your treatment done. So anyway, point being, where I'm at with that is I am in contact with one of these genitourinary oncologists that have been recommended, and I'm trying to get my records transferred to them so I can get a quarterback and try to get someone other than me managing my healthcare. Of course, if you know me, I'm likely still going to manage that care, and I think you need to. If you've got prostate cancer, you need to be an active participant in the slow motion suicide of your health. And so, yeah, I mean, it's important. So that's kind of really where I am. I need to make a decision on the radiation. Oh, and that's the other thing kind of holding me back. Shelley very astutely pointed out, hey, if you're going to get somebody to be the quarterback of your treatment, don't you want to wait before you start another treatment, before otherwise you're just kind of doing the same thing that you're doing now, which is managing my own care, which makes a lot of sense, but I'm getting impatient, and I kind of want to start doing something or take the next step, because as one doctor has said, hey, you're young, we've got the disease on the run, you want to be aggressive. And I do want to be aggressive. Of course, that's not what all the doctors say. Some of the other doctors are saying, hey, prostate cancer is a slow moving disease. You've got time. And I do have time. Like, just wait and see. Because part of that waiting and seeing, and here's the positive part about that, part of the waiting and seeing when something is working is that something better might be around the corner. And you may or may not miss out on that based on what you do or some of the decisions you make now. So anyway, so that's kind of what's going on from a treatment perspective. So what's going on with me? Well, obviously, as you can see, I'm starting to get the hair back. Not everywhere, but it's a slow process, your body recovering from the chemo. I kind of think, I don't know. I watched videos like from my buddy Jason from the Prostate Cancer Road to Recovery podcast, and he was always talking about this just soul-crushing fatigue he was experiencing. And I was tired a lot, and more so when I was on chemo. And I mentioned in the last video how since chemo's ended, every day I feel like I get tenfold of my energy back. And I do feel like that, but lately I think I've been feeling that soul-crushing fatigue. It's really been, while I'm getting up every morning still and I'm doing something active, the intensity of that activity is significantly lower than it was even last month. And I don't know why that is. I have been having aches and pains, which of course, I think is some other form of cancer always. And, that's one of the beautiful gifts you get as a prostate cancer or any cancer patient. But I have this pain here on the right side, just below my breast in the rib cage. That doesn't feel bone, but doesn't feel muscle either. It's just weird. And of course, now I have the back pain, lower back pain, mid back pain, and I don't know what that is. Maybe it's from some of the workouts that I do. It sticks around, it goes away. I don't know. Right now and lately, the last couple of days, it really hasn't been too bad. I have a support brace that I was issued when my labrum, I was having problems with the labrum, just so I sit with the shoulders back, and that tends to help. But that's about it. Other than that, I think that it probably, hopefully, sounds to anyone listening who's going through the same thing as, yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling too. So that would be encouraging to me, because it means that it's nothing really to worry about, just part of being on androgen deprivation therapy and having no testosterone, and just living life like that. So good times. Other than that, it's a banner day here in the household. You notice I'm not wearing my #TurtlePower shirt today. I'm my Iron Man support crew. And you might be asking yourself, Adam, are you running an Iron Man? And I have to say, no, I am not. But my wife is. Shelly is running an Iron Man, and I am so proud of her for doing it. It is an awesome achievement, something I haven't ever done. She's been training for this for a year and is absolutely incredible. And I am so proud. We're actually going to leave here in a little bit and go cheer her to the finish line. And I actually got a text while I was on this video, making this video, that she finished the swim in the time. That was what she was most worried about. She was scared to death last night before going to bed about the swim. That's the only thing she was scared about. It's like, if I finish the swim, I can finish this race. And so, hey, I guess she's finishing the race, which is awesome. And honey, I am so proud of you, and I want this to be memorialized forever in the video ether. So here it is. So Ironman support group for Shelly, way to go. And of course, it's also Mother's Day. Mother's Day is tomorrow, and I wouldn't be here without my mom. So Mom, I love you. Thank you for everything that you ever did to me. Hey, if it wouldn't be for the way that you raised me, I wouldn't have the intestinal fortitude and the courage to face the challenges that I'm facing right now. So thank you very much for that. And of course, happy Mother's Day to Shelly as well, for those two little stinkers who are still sleeping, by the way, but I'm about to go get them up. So again, hey, it's a great day. It's a great day to be alive. There's great things that are on the horizon. And it's even with the fatigue, even with the pain and the challenges and the hardships, there's still a lot to be appreciative of and a lot to appreciate. And hey, as a cancer patient, I can appreciate those things in ways that most people can't. So remember, everybody out there, especially the guys, go get your PSA checked. And for everybody else, until next time, anything is possible.